Hey everyone, and welcome to the Defining Your Life podcast, where we focus on living in our purpose, practicing presence, and activating our power in each moment. I'm Marsharelle, your resident pep talk provider, and I invite you to join me as we continue to learn, lift each other up, and strive to level up together. Because we are never finished defining our lives, and it takes a village, so let's build one. Stay tuned for the episode. Hey everyone, I hope that all is well with you and that you have been making the most of your week so far. And by making the most of it, I don't mean cramming in 1,000 things, being overbooked and too busy. But I do hope that you've been making the most of your days with impact, right? If you feel like this week has been a bust so far and you haven't been intentional about impact, guess what the good news is? Today is a new day, and that means yet another opportunity to make the most of it. So how are you going to be impactful today, right? How are you going to go and be a light in the world? Now, before I hop into the topic of the week, I wanted to take a moment to thank all of you for listening. I 100% appreciate you tuning in, whether this is your first time or you've been rocking with me from the beginning. You know, I really started sharing, not just because I felt like I had something to say. That was 100% a part of it, of course. But as you may have heard me mention before, I do struggle with sharing my own feelings. And so the areas that I find myself reflecting on often or challenging myself in is more than likely what you hear me sharing on here with all of you. And it's me getting my feelings out. A very public way of doing so, but here we are. But I always say, I am not just talking to y'all, I'm talking to myself, and that is really the absolute truth. And this podcast is really like my accountability partner, right? And I'm invested in finding solutions and sharing inspiration that is going to help all of us be better. I mean, that's why I show up here week after week. I want to be better, and I hope the same for you. And so just a few reminders, as we continue on this journey together. I like to pop in every now and again and reset. But this is a village that we are building together. And in villages, people communicate, they share ideas, they share their art, they hold each other up, and they look out for one another. And your village can span far and wide. There could be people in your village that you've never even seen in real life or have had an opportunity to hang out with in person. But yet and still, those people who you may only chat with online or through FaceTime or even snail mail, if people are still picking up stamps. But those people can contribute to your life in a meaningful and impactful way. And for those of you who have ever reached out to me, thank you. I may not see you, but your words are very impactful to me. And I hope that you'll continue to share, whether it is your ideas, thoughts about a topic that I've shared, or a request for something that you'd like me to touch on. I'm here for all of it. And I really can't wait to hear what you all have to say next. So feel free to share at any point. All right, let's get into the topic of the week. I already know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you ever find yourself asking, what's next? What's next? What's next? Always about what's next, right? But I want to ask you, what about what's now? What's right now? Because how can you focus on what's now when you're always on to the next? You can't miss out on what's next if you didn't get there yet, but you can miss out on what's now, what's in the present, and we often miss out on what's in the present, whatever the lesson or the message is or the gift is. We can miss it chasing after something that may not be right for us in the first place. We've talked about this before, but the point is you can miss all of that on account of not being able to sit down and be still. Now, oftentimes we find ourselves pondering what's next only to find that we have no clarity at all. Like we can't see beyond the foot that's right in front of us. And when you have no clarity, no sign, no stirred emotion that is guiding you toward what's next, chances are you aren't supposed to be moving at all, but instead you should be still. But we are fidgety people. At least I'll speak for myself. I am antsy, particularly when something isn't going the way that I want it to go. I start plotting my exit, right? Based on emotion alone. No strategy, no voice of God, just me and my emotions saying, girl, we gotta go. And the we gotta go part may very well be right, but it's the making moves without the strategy part that's wrong. And so what ends up happening is nothing. Well, at least not right away, nothing but me chasing my tail. Because instead of making moves prematurely, I should have just been still from the beginning. But it's hard to be still. It's hard to be in waiting. But just like the ocean has periods of both rapid movement and crashing waves, there are also periods of calmness. And sometimes we are simply called to sit down. Does stillness feel like a waste of time to you? Or do you ever find yourself just moving for the sake of moving with no clear direction? Maybe that lack of direction is a signal for you to be still. Remember back in the day when people would take a road trip, right? Before the days of GPS, Google Maps, or even MapQuest. I was definitely a MapQuest girl back in the day. And we thought we were really doing something because we no longer had to pull out a real map, but you could just print the directions out. And those pieces of paper got me to many places. But the real maps, the ones you get off that rack in the gas station, you couldn't just take that map, get in the car and go. You had to sit down somewhere, even if it was in the car, and plot out your route with like a pen or a highlighter. And before you even got to the point of plotting, you had to know exactly where you were going because changing course wasn't as simple as just pushing a button. That stillness, that pause you took to figure out exactly where you were going was the entire framework for your trip. That stillness set you up for success. It put you in the right mindset. It even got you hyped for the adventure ahead, right? Not scrambling and hodgepodging everything together, but it was guided. And so really, today I really just want to remind us all that being still is an integral part of forward movement. It's the framework, the foundation upon which you'll build your next adventure, the space and time in which you'll make major decisions, right? Be aware of the weight of stillness as you navigate life. You may be on a long, empty dirt road, but at some point, you'll more than likely reach a traffic light, even if it's just one in a town, or you might reach a stop sign, a crosswalk, or maybe you just need to hit the brakes for some reason. Maybe there's some ducks crossing. I don't know. But life is no different from that long dirt road, right? Stillness is your stop sign. So what are some things we should be doing in our moments of stillness? Well, number one is prayer, because 9 times out of 10, we are still because we don't know where to go or what to do next. And we need clarity, and prayer will help you find that clarity. So pray, whether by yourself or in community, you're writing it down, right? But whatever you're doing, be prayerful in it. You also want to reflect because pauses don't really happen by chance, right? So there was probably some sort of shift in life, big or small, that caused us to see the need to reflect and be still. It could be a series of events that we need to dissect so that we can get the lesson. And sometimes we don't see it right away, right? Which is why we have to be still and sit with it. But I caution you, do not make room to run from yourself. Sit with yourself and learn a little more about who you are and why you made the decisions that you did, good or bad, which will lead you to the next thing that we should be doing in moments of stillness. And that's mapping things out. This is the planning part that some of us like to skip over, myself included. But if in your stillness, once you've gotten the clarity that you need, prepare the plan that's going to help you meet that next goal. You want a new job? Cool. What kind of job do you want? Have you taken real inventory of your skill set? Now, I'm not talking about the fluff that's on your resume, but the actual skills and talents you want to lean into to make a living. Do you know the type of job that aligns with your talents? Or are you just, you don't want to be at your current job anymore? Are you trying to pay off debt or buy a home or start a business? All of these things require you to map out in some way. No matter if you are a more structured person with a whole whiteboard situation going on in your office, or you keep it all up in your brain. Though I thoroughly suggest that you write it down on something, like just in your brain. That's like, listen, either way, there should be some level of planning that needs to happen. So some planned steps that need to be followed in order to move toward the goal. So map it out using whatever approach works best for you. And when your period of stillness is over, you will be able to pursue what's next boldly, confidently, with intention, because in your stillness, you were readied, recharged, and your mission was made plain. I'll leave you with a quote from J. Clay today. I wasn't trying to rhyme with that, y'all. It just came out like that. But anyway, the quote is, "Sometimes stillness is the best movement." Thanks so much for listening today. If what you've been hearing has been beneficial, don't forget to share, rate, review, and follow the pod. Yes, I'm asking you to do all of those things. But I can't wait to chat with you all again next week. Take care until then.